Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Popcross Studios to Narrati and Sagan. Sorry, I don't know if that's how you pronounce the name. We'll finally meet the Sharp Gang. Welcome to Pantheon Repos, Episode 5. And yes, it does say re-upload, but that's only because there was a funny line he wanted in this video that somehow was cut out of the previous one. So he took that down, changed it, and now re-uploaded it pretty much within the same day. So, now let's hop in and say hello to the nice cape cut.
Welcome to Chapter 5 of my ongoing series, Mytholethal Pantheon Reapers. In today's episode, I'm going to be drawing a mix of original and Norse mythology adapted characters, while I tell the next chapter of the story. If you're new to this series, you might want to go back to the beginning. I'll link the playlist in the cards and the description. But for a brief recap of where we left off last time, our main family of mythological heroes, Mythal, Ortis, Narrati, and Sagan, have traveled to dimension A141, reluctantly working along with the Archon demon Kaijagrex in his human form. Mythal and Ortis have gone on ahead to investigate a battle.
You know, now I wonder, do all of the Archon demons have a human form? The only ones we've seen is now Kaijagrex and the Storm Demon.
Going on thanks to an invasion by an alternate reality version of the Norse goddess Freya, who has brought to this realm a techno-organic virus that is currently taking over many of the warriors and civilians here. Ortis and Mythal ended up teaming up with some other heroes that are here trying to help, members of a group called the Sharp Gang, and while Mythal was having a lot of fun getting to show off her skill set a little bit in the midst of a battle between her and Thor, after Thor wasn't proving to be enough of a threat to her, Freya herself has shown up on the battlefield. But meanwhile, Narrati, Sagan, and Kaijagrex are still waiting in the distance on the sidelines. So let's see where the story goes from there, shall we? Let's go.
Hit like if you want. Subscribe. By the way.
But either way, enjoy the show.
Damn, kind of forget they added that extra line. Subscribe if you want.
Well, still standing on the building at the edge of the city where Mythal and Ortis had left them, Kaijagrex, Narrati, and Sagan were all waiting impatiently. Grex most impatiently of all.
Alright, this has been fun and all, but if I wanted to sit around watching cool stuff happen from the sidelines, I would have stayed in the non-physical realm.
He could have sprung out his wings and leapt off immediately, but instead he marched towards the edge of the building, intentionally giving Narrati time to argue with him.
It's only been like 10 minutes, you're such a child.
He chuckled.
That's all he needs.
A child? I'm literally older than the universe we're standing in, Splotchy.
Sagan chirped. You ain't had a physical form that long though, right? Are you even a child, or are you technically still a toddler? 'Cause you sure act like one.
You're just salty 'cause you've got to go through puberty 3 times longer than a normal human. No need to get all shook up, little Elvis.
Grex bit his tongue slightly, realizing he potentially shouldn't reveal that he knew specifics on how slowly the Godqueller grandkids aged.
Not just that, but you kind of just forgot to do the sound effect for Kaijarex's voice, so he did not sound like Kaijarex. That sounded like someone else.
May have already showed his hand too much in previous conversations. Sagan chuckled. That's supposed to be an insult? Kinda surprised you even know who Elvis is.
What don't you get about? I literally helped make the multiverse. I've seen more in 1% of my existence than you'll see in your whole life. I know more than anyone you've ever met.
There we go.
Narrati grunted.
And yet you still don't know how to wait patiently.
Ha! Good one, Ma. Grex rolled his eyes.
Ha ha. At least I know what I want, and I'm gonna go get it.
He turned towards the battle, but noticed a bunch of jets and Valkyries were getting closer. The war was spreading out. Grex opened his mouth and a yellow beam charged up in it. He spat it and a blast ripped right through the body of a distant Valkyrie.
He can do a Godzilla blast? Why can he do it? I know, he's a Kaiju Rex. It's literally, okay, fine.
Making her spin out and crash through the ceiling of a skyscraper. Narrati snarled.
What are you doing? How do you know what you just hit was even one of the enemies?
He shrugged.
I don't. I just felt like doing some target practice.
In truth, Grex had incredible vision and recognized Tarsa's techno-organic virus on the Valkyrie he'd shot down, but he just wanted to rile up Narrati some more. Before she could respond, the three of them all noticed the sounds of screams growing louder. They looked down to the city below and saw that a whole wave of fleeing civilians were charging down the streets towards the main form of the tree holding up Asgard. Grex saw that there was a series of massive elevators built into the side of the tree. The civilians were likely trying to get down to the ground below to escape.
That's kind of cool.
Unfortunately, infected Valkyries were swooping down, snatching people from the crowd, and infecting them with the demon virus, just to drop them back into the crowd to spread the virus further.
Still want me on the sidelines, or do you mind if I go save some lives?
Grex growled with a smirk. Before she could answer, Sagan came over to the edge of the building. The majority of the crowd was in a state of intimidation, so he could see them all clearly. He saw a civilian being carried into the air, but couldn't see the figure carrying her.
Might actually have to agree with old Scratchy Throat here, Ma. Waiting around ain't gonna keep these folks alive.
A series of loud puffs suddenly burst from farther down the road towards the tree. A swell of blue mist had appeared in the civilians' path. Some stopped, but others kept running into it, only to immediately run back out on the same side they just entered, crashing into other fleeing civilians or just looking confused. Just above the skyline, another burst of blue mist appeared, out from which floated a figure with glimmering blonde hair.
Of course, Loki has some kind of space ability, which I actually do kind of find interesting, since the Marvel Loki is the only one to actually even have that power, considering the whole Tesseract that was in his staff and all. But if you think about it, in regular mythology, Loki is the trickster god, so it would make sense that he would have something that could trick the mind into thinking it went one way while going the other way.
Elegant robes and a cape made of feathers. Sounding somewhat inebriated, he said,
No, why are you all so desperate to leave? Ragnarok has come, as I long promised. And it's not just me doing a big mischief again. I know I'm the god of mischief, but it's for real this time. There's nowhere to go.
Drunk Loki. I love Drunk Loki.
So you might as well just greet it with a nice, warm embrace.
Hey, how's this for a warm embrace, pal? Called a voice
Benny!
from higher in the air. A beam of condensed water suddenly splashed into the floating deity and sent him hurtling into the street below. Grex, Sagan, and Narrati all looked up to see that the beam was being spat by a black and blue dragon with two figures astride its back, swooping down towards the fleeing civilians. Flying alongside them was a man in a green mechanized armor suit with horns sticking out the sides of its head.
Awesome.
His goofy voice didn't match the tanky armor he wore. You hit him with boiling water after I said that, right, Tayron? Astride the dragon's back was a young man with a scarred face and purple armor, as well as what seemed to be a more elaborately armored jaguar woman. The scarred man replied,
Nice.
Sorry, Benny, I didn't want the boiling water to drip onto the civilians below and harm them. Wellerman went with freezing water.
Ah, well, that's fair. Wasn't my best singer anyway. Still, had to try or I don't deserve pie, right? Anyway.
The flying armored figure swooped back, flying against the flow of fleeing civilians to grab...
Had to try or I don't get the pie. Love it. We just need like a whole micro book of Benny Sharp's quips.
Two of the infected ones out of the crowd. He then hurled them both up to slam into a descending Valkyrie.
Oh, no, wait. The title of the book could say... Yeah, like it shows a picture of Benny Sharp with a word bubble, and in the word bubble it says, "My mom always said," and then when you open the book, it's just everything he says that his mom said. Oh, that would be great!
Then fired a missile from his wrist, hitting all three of them and exploding the trio in midair.
Bada boom! 10 gold Krugaloos for Benny!
He cheered. He turned back
It's
towards his
excellent.
allies, but then spotted Grex, Sagan, and Narrati on the building top. He flew over.
Hey, folks, you need help with the whole fleeing thing, or are you helping in the fight? If so, don't mind me wearing the same color scheme as the enemy. Was a bad call on my part, but, since we're facing off against mythological goons here, I thought it'd be fun to wear my horny Minotaur armor.
Wearing your
Minotaur. Okay.
Sagan replied, thinking he'd heard wrong.
My horny Minotaur armor,
He said, pointing at the horns on his head, as if that made the name better.
So you the fleeing type or the helping type? Because you do got a bit of a superhero-y sort of vibe to use all. Well, okay, you've got a bit more of a young king of rock and roll vibe, kid, but you get what I mean.
Because he looks like Elvis, we get it!
Sagan replied,
Definitely the helping type. At least I am. Good to hear it.
Then he said as he turned to Grex.
What about you, big guy? You kind of look like you would have bashed up a few nerds in high school or something, but if you had a... wait. Why do you look familiar?
Oh.
This was far from Grex's first interaction with the team before him, but they'd never seen his human form. He was going to milk that for all he could.
The name's Garthunderous Blunderson, and I'm the most...
Oh, snap, it's Kaija Grex.
That's all it is. That's all it is. Just the voice. That's all it is. You start talking, boom. Why do I think it would have been more funny if he said, My name's Greg. Why do I think that would have been more funny than him doing the whole whatever the hell he said?
Yo, folks, we got a knock-on here in the form of a human who looks like he doesn't shower much and thinks that going to the gym counts as having a personality. Turn to Sagan. Is you the Roblin to this goon's Bathman or what? Only reluctantly working together, I swear. I ain't a fan of him neither, but he's useful. We got him to stop any of his demon general raids while he helps us go after this lady Tarsa and her cronies.
What do you mean you got me to do that?
Greg said, shoving Sagan to the side. Alrighty then. Well, we can't really judge. Some of my pals teamed up with him once anyway, so if you're here to help, we'll just take your word for that for now. Greg was taken aback.
Wait, seriously? We're just teaming up like that?
Pal, we got a lot of stuff to deal with here without trying to fight anyone ready to help us. Plus, I know you Archons ain't no cheerleaders for Tarsa, so either help or at least stay out of the way. Now, I'm gonna go find the hole out of which Loki allegedly gave birth to an 8-legged horse and shove a rocket up in there. Sagan reached out a hand.
Technically speaking, that hole would only appear in his horse form. Yeah, if y'all haven't ever had the chance to read Norse mythology, Loki did give birth to Sleipnir, but for that to happen, he took the form of a male and did it with a horse that was in service of a giant who was hired by Odin and all the other Asgardian gods to build a giant wall around Asgard. That whole thing is because Odin wanted the wall up. This giant said he could do it. And Odin asked how long. He said within 3 winter seasons, meaning 3 years. By the end of the second year, the wall was almost complete. But Odin didn't want to pay up because the payment would be Freya, who was his wife. I think, yeah. The giant wanted Freya. Odin didn't want to pay up, so he sent Loki to stop him and slow him down. Loki thought, I'll go for his horse. And so, Loki, his horse.
Tag along, got a trick or two that should help. Benny grabbed his hand. Works for me, let's jailhouse rock, kid.
I'm loving this. Oh, he even put bubbles around his head, like he is really that drunk.
Benny carried Sagan over the
here we
battle.
go.
He could only see the intimidated civilians, but could hear well enough what was going on to have a general idea of what they were approaching. Get me closer to this Loki variant feller and I should be able to intimidate him. That'll at least get him on his heels. If you say so, Benny replied, suddenly a bit hesitant. And, I can sort of tell from your eyes, but is you normal people blind or, like, superhero blind? Because I'm suddenly second-guessing bringing some random blind kid I just found on a building top into a fight against a god.
God Quella blind, so it's okay.
Before Sagan needed to reply, they'd gotten close to where the two figures atop the dragon's back were battling with this world's version of Loki. Unsure of whether he was looking in Sagan and Benny's direction, Sagan took a shot and channeled his white shadow. A burst of white mist swelled from his eyes, and immediately he could see the floating deity before him. Loki then focused on Sagan and Benny approaching.
Oh, what's with that kid? Why is he so freaky?
Sagan grinned. I'm superhero blonde, alright. Toss me at him, I'll show you. Benny did as ordered, and Sagan formed white shadow gauntlets as he soared towards the floating god. He snatched one of Loki's shoulders with one hand and hammered the other right into the deity's long nose.
Oh!
Ow! What's with you? I'm just trying to kill a bunch of people and help take over the world. You don't need to get all face punchy.
Loki grumbled while he whipped one hand around in a hypnotic pattern. Blue mist appeared between Loki's face and Sagan's next swing. As Sagan's fist entered the mist, somehow, instead of hitting Loki's face, his fist emerged right back towards him and he punched himself, sending him spinning off Loki towards the street below.
Damn, that
Sagan
hurts.
pulled out the metal orb device he carried and whipped it right at the street beneath him. It struck and the reverb gave him a sense of where he could land. But before he reached, Benny swooped down and grabbed him out of the air. Got it, superhero blind it is, but let's call you in and upgrade anyway. Would help you fight a flying dude if you could stay airborne. Meanwhile, Grex had leapt into the air and snatched an infected Valkyrie. He ripped its wing off and kicked its body so hard away that it smashed straight through a building into the street on the other side. He sprouted wings and swooped towards the blue mist that was making people turn back as soon as they entered it. He thrust his wings towards it, both halting his flight and sending a massive gust of wind forth that knocked dozens of civilians off their feet, tumbling over each other, but also made the mist shoot backwards and dissipate.
There you go.
The Jaguar woman, wielding 2 blades, had leapt off the dragon and suddenly landed down on the street near Grex. Would you mind not injuring the people we are attempting to assist, demon? He ignored the question.
Which one of the, sharpsters are you again? I don't remember this party having a pet cat.
She whipped one of her blades right towards him, but Grex could tell it wasn't going to hit him, so he didn't move. The blade went right by him, and he heard it pierce through metal. He turned to see an infected Valkyrie gripping the blade now stuck in her shoulder.
Awesome.
Grex glanced back to see the Jaguar woman had leapt at him. She landed both her feet on Grex's shoulder, then sprang off him at the Valkyrie. She pierced her other blade right through her foe's chest, then gripped her tail around the Valkyrie's neck and spun its head the wrong way around. She leapt off and landed gracefully on the ground as her foe crashed through the window of a building and disappeared. Vasilia Kuznet. Remembers the name while you still live to know it, demon.
The best alma maker in the
like
fantasy
you.
world.
He said loudly, knowing Narrati was watching from a nearby building. He glanced back towards Narrati just in time to see another infected Valkyrie soaring towards her. She clearly didn't notice it coming. He immediately burst up towards her, grabbing her and wrapping himself around her, just before the descending foe arrived. The Valkyrie slammed into Grex's back, barely nudging him. He then let go of Narrati, spun around, and spat a massively overkill eruption of light from his mouth, eviscerating the Valkyrie, along with the
So he did a savior move, and not just that. And, we can all see what's gonna happen! The play-by-play is so obvious of what's gonna happen! I swear, before this quest is over or something, Kaiju Rex is probably gonna be asking. We have theories. We have theories, and we have hope.
tops of 4 buildings in the near distance.
Pay
Question: do we have fan art? Do we?
attention.
Grex snarled furiously, turning back to Narrati.
Your folks are probably immune to Tarsus virus, but that doesn't mean you are. One of those things gets a hold of you without you knowing how to use your white shadow to protect yourself, and you're a goner. Got it?
Narrati stumbled a step back, nearly falling from the building. Okay. Grex had expected another sarcastic response. He sighed, calming his voice slightly.
Just watch your back before one of Tarsus' toys sticks a knife in it, alright?
Grex leapt off the building and soared towards Benny, Sagan, and Tayrin. Sagan was now sporting a set of mechanized legs, thanks to Benny, using them to circle Loki, along with the mech maker in his mech, and Tayrin on his dragon. Tayrin was singing to his dragon, as a huge orb of water was forming on the end of the beast's tail.
The Wellerman.
Soon may the Wellerman come to bring
Bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our ship and go.
Sagan chuckled. Right on, they got that tune in your realm too, huh? Starting to sing himself, Sagan continued.
She'd not been 2 weeks from shore when
Down on her, a right well bore. The captain called all hands and swore he'd take that well in tow.
The dragon, clearly enjoying both figures singing, whipped its body around and hurled the orb of water towards Loki, while his back was turned towards Benny, who was
It's a
firing
great
a barrage
song.
of rockets at the god. Unfortunately, Loki glanced back at Tayrin.
What are you guys, like salty old pirates? Don't you know any better songs?
A swirling portal of blue mist appeared behind him, then another in front of him. The orb of water
Hey, Hey, what's wrong with a good old-fashioned sea shanty?
went straight through one and came out the other, firing right towards Benny. All his rockets got wrapped up in the swirling water and headed right for him. Thankfully, Sagan had anticipated a move like that the second he heard the dragon hurling its projectile. He swooped right over to Benny, guided by the sound of Benny firing his rockets, and tried to grab him. Not being able to see Benny meant he wasn't very precise and ended up sort of tackling him out of the way, but
Oops.
still moved him
Sorry.
enough to avoid the water and rockets.
Oh, close one. Thanks, kid.
Turning to the god, Benny said,
Hey, so what's your deal anyway, pal? You ain't infected by this virus thingy, so why's you helping Freya? Ain't you this world's Loki? Well, this new Freya's a lot cooler than our Freya, and she said any of us who served her could be the new head honchos of this world.
Of course.
Sounded fun to me. Also, my so-called blood brother Odin had locked me up just because I got that annoying Baldur kid a little bit killed. Plus, Freya gave...
Wait, blood brother Odin? I hope he's actually talking about Thor, considering that his last name is Odinson, or Odin's son of Odin. So, I'm not sure if they're talking about Odin, or Thor, Odin.
Give me this nice cape.
And she brought, like, way stronger mead than we've got here. But I don't have to explain myself to you anyway, Robot Man. And you know what? We've got, like, real robots here, so it's actually super offensive for you to be here in robot face like that. There's just more reason that I don't have to explain myself to you.
Well, good news. You'll never have to explain yourself to anyone again.
Grek snarled as he flew right towards Loki. The god tried to toss up another blue mist portal, but Grex just swiped it away with his wing and gripped his hand around the god's skull.
You think your blue fart clouds are gonna stop an Archon demon? If you would betray your family just for a little power, then the land of the living is done with you.
With no further warning, Grex clamped his fist shut.
Yes!
Well, what was left of the god's head was a bit too gross to describe. Benny and Tayron just stared. Sagan couldn't see the full gore of what happened, but with his sight on Loki gone, he could tell their foe was slain. Dang, Kaiju Grex, I know you're an Archon and all, but that was nasty. Grex shrugged.
That was kind of brutal.
You say nasty, I say efficient. Either way, we're done here, right?
The civilians were having an easier time fleeing, but the battle went on. And in the city center, things were just getting more heated.
Loki defeated. Thor unknown. Freya unknown. Ooh, I wonder if that actually is gonna be an Odin.
Well, Ares, ain't it great that you finally showed up in this series?
What are you talking about, Patty? I'm not in this episode.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, no, that was me that's in this episode. Whoopsie-doopsie.
Oh, yeah, sure, laugh it up. And just for that, I'm not going to advertise your coloring book like we're supposed to. I'm just going to advertise the book I was actually in. The original Mytholethal. It's up on Amazon and Blurb now.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not really here to advertise my coloring book anyway. I'm actually here to announce the fact that the Popcross Studios Design Notes Art and Advice book is officially releasing 1 week from today. And getting it is going to get you access to a bonus 25-minute Design Notes episode in which Popcross draws the art for the cover and talks about the initial lore and concepts for Ultraverse Tales.
Ultraverse Tales, huh? Well, that does actually sound kind of cool, but I'm not going to give you any hype for it since you were a jerk at the start of this whole thing.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But get hyped up, folks. 1 week until release. Now back into today's video.
That's still kind of...
Mythal hadn't waited for Freya to strike first, with either of the variants of the hammer Mjolnir she carried. Mythal had formed one of her arms into a massive white shadow armored fist, and in the other hand created a short sword. She leapt at and smashed her fist right into Freya, but the goddess simply caught it, leaving one of her hammers floating next to her in the air, surrounded by bubbling red orbs. The shockwave from the impact of White Shadow Fist against Godly Hand shattered what few windows remained around them after what Mythal had done to Thor, who was now back to battling against Heath and Mara. Freya simply nodded her head to the side, and her floating hammer shot into Mythal's face, sending her hurtling into a nearby building. Mythal's excitement soared as she realized that blow had truly hurt. But before she could respond, the other hammer soared towards her and smashed her right in the nose. She flew farther back and burst out the other side of the building, just for the smaller of the two hammers to swoop in across her side. She tried to catch it, but it hit hard enough to push her hand back and smack her in the face anyway. Mythal hit and rolled across the street, and before she could get up, 2 feet slammed into her back and used her body to dent the pavement beneath her. Cold steel of a hammer smashed into the back of her head, driving it farther into the ground. Then, a hand gripped around her neck and tore her off the road. Freya turned Mythal around so they were face to face. How is someone as weak as you intended to quell anyone?
Damn,
let alone
Freya.
a goddess of the Imperium Pantheon. Freya hurled Mythal upwards. One of her hammers swooped into Mythal's legs from behind, making her pinwheel through the air. Then another flew down and smashed into her from above, crashing her into the street once more. I slaughtered my own entire Pantheon in Dimension N952. I defied the destiny proclaimed by the Norns and became the embodiment of Ragnarok. And that was all before I was granted the further power of those who serve the Archonic goddess. One of Freya's hammers shot right through the ground, then burst up underneath Mythal, sending her spinning into the air, where Freya flew up and caught her by the neck again. She pulled her spear from her back and held it to Mythal's
This is actually a threat.
throat. I stripped that traitorous slime Odin of his precious weapon, then used it to end him, and now I will use it to end you, irrefutably proving my worth to Tarsa. Mythal glanced to her sides.
Okay.
So the hammers are just a backup plan then? Freya stabbed her spear at Mythal's neck, but Mythal used her still oversized hand to catch the weapon, then ripped her head free, leaning back just as both Freya's hammers soared in on either side of her. They smashed against each other right where Mythal's head had been a millisecond before, creating an electric eruption between her and her foe that sent them both spinning away from each other. Mythal twirled herself around and landed gracefully on the street, gleefully wiping some black blood from her cheek. She saw Freya recovering with both hammers spinning around her. Before Mythal could decide her next move,
visual.
Thor crashed through the building next to her and rolled across the ground ahead. Heath and Mara soon leapt through that building themselves, landing near Mythal. Heath chuckled.
This guy got way easier to handle without his hammer. He's not powerless, but might as well be a completely different person.
I don't believe the
is.
hammer is the cause of the power shift, Mythal said, noticing that Thor no longer had red orbs floating around him. Thor was trying to pick himself up when Mythal stepped forward and used her foot to fling him into the air in front of her. She then used her white shadow fist to punch him full force, sending his body spinning right towards Freya, who simply batted him aside. Mythal yelled at the fast-approaching goddess. Your so-called mighty mistress can only give one of you an upgrade at a time, can't she? Let us hope she does not—
Aha! So that's what happened. Thor's no longer being upgraded by Torso, and instead Freya is. That's why Freya is even seen as a threat.
backstab you as she did Thor, and give this little boost away mid-battle, because I'm quite enjoying your vigor. Freya sent her two hammers soaring towards Heath and Mara, who both dove out of the way. Freya tackled into Mythal, grabbing her neck again and trying to stab her spear into Mythal's gut. As she was carried backwards, Mythal used her short sword to block the stab. Freya turned and shoved Mythal into the side of a building, dragging her up, smashing glass and brick with Mythal's body as they flew into the air. Freya stabbed again and again, but Mythal—
I like how the hammer here is actually being inked without having any of the lines drawn. I love it.
blocked each blow, then swiped her white shadow fist across Freya's face. It was enough to make Freya release her and make Freya spin away through the air, now above the city skyline. Mythal used the white shadow boots she'd given herself, inspired by Kayla, to float in the air, as Freya recovered too. The Archonic Goddess will not betray me. She knows a powerful, genuine soul when she finds one. I've faced traitors before, been cast aside by ones who claimed to love me, just when a new pretty face came along. Odin betrayed me.
He was
My
a
own
scumbag.
Pantheon betrayed me. They shunned me and embraced Odin's new pet, Frigg. And they all paid the price for it. I would not bind myself to the service of a traitor again.
Small thing I just wanted to point out. Frigg, it was actually a nickname for Freya.
I know a noble leader when I encounter one.
According to the mythology.
Mythal glanced around to see if Ordis was near to give a verdict on Freya. He was off working alongside Kayla and Astra, so Mythal made the call herself. Well, I'm sorry for what you faced in your past, but it clearly has not made you the divine judge of character you think yourself to be.
Oh yeah, easily
Now,
not.
What was it you said to me a moment ago? Ah yes, come face your death with dignity. Freya thought her next move would be a surprise.
Badass line.
But once again, Mythal had seen the hammers coming up beneath her. She swung her fist back, and without holding back in the slightest, Mythal smashed her white shadow knuckles into this realm's Mjolnir. When her fist hit, she heard a crack. Then, there was a moment where time seemed to freeze, like the two forces colliding were still deciding which would buckle. Then, Mythal's fist smashed through the hammer and shattered it into lightning and metal debris, destroying it.
Remarkable. This is only the second time I've ever seen someone be able to destroy a Mjolnir. Oh, the only other time was in a What If of a Thor comic where he becomes the God of Fist.
The other hammer swooped up and Mythal tried to dodge her head aside, but wasn't fast enough. Her chin was still clipped and she felt her jaw crack as she was sent spiraling backwards. That hurt more than expected, but Mythal thrust her feet back and propelled herself right towards Freya, with the remaining Mjolnir chasing behind her. Freya thrust her spear forward, but Mythal batted it down with her hand, just for Freya to kick Mythal aside. As Mythal had intended, the other Mjolnir soared right up behind her, and even as Mythal was knocked away, the weapon shot right for Freya's head. Again, Mythal had underestimated her opponent. The hammer stopped instantly, a millimeter before Freya's cheek, then turned and zipped right towards Mythal once more. Very impressive, Mythal muttered.
Great
She swung her fist again to try and shatter this Mjolnir, but it seemed this one was more durable. This time when her knuckles met the weapon, her own armor buckled. Her white shadow fist exploded and her own arm was struck. As the hammer shot into her
Oh,
shoulder,
boy.
she felt her bones shift out of place. Mythal gasped and let out a wheezing chuckle.
Oh,
You dislocated our arm.
Pain. Welcome back, my old friend. I've not encountered you in far too long.
Thankfully, Mythal saw
Still
the
impressive.
hammer spin back around, coming at her from behind. She intentionally moved her shoulder into its path, and when it slammed into her, it popped her shoulder back into its socket.
Oh,
Moving
God.
fast enough, she snatched the hammer as it continued on towards Freya, and was dragged along with it. She used its momentum to tackle Freya out of the air. As they fell and Freya tried to stab Mythal again, Mythal snatched the spear and tore it free. She whipped it around and stabbed it right towards Freya's heart.
Ooh,
Freya caught
ooh.
it and was just barely managing to hold it back against Mythal's own strength.
Are you watching, Tarsa?
Mythal asked, still falling with Freya towards the ground.
How does it feel to be down one member of your Pantheon already? Oh, don't you dare write me off so easily! I will not disappoint my Archonic goddess!
Mjolnir came soaring faster than ever before towards Mythal.
The angry are so easily fooled.
Mythal chuckled. She whipped
Ooh,
hers
what-
and
what?
Freya's body around so that Mjolnir was coming in behind Mythal. Freya didn't slow the weapon down because it was still headed for Mythal, but she didn't realize her foe had put
The
the back
spear.
of the spear into the hammer's path. Mjolnir
Meaning the hammer is gonna hit the spear and hammer it through her chest. Oh, when all you have is a hammer, the whole world looks like it's nothing but nails. I butchered that line.
slammed into the spear that Mythal was trying to plunge into Freya's heart, and struck with more than enough force to drive the weapon directly through Freya. They finally hit the ground, and when the dust cleared, Mythal was standing while her foe remained fallen. Mythal was
And thus, the first of the new Imperial Pantheon has been slain. Mark her off the board!
genuinely panting.
Oh, Tarsa, if you can hear me, I genuinely thank you for that matchup. But I do hope you have slightly tougher waiting for me. I certainly do.
A voice
Ooh.
echoed all around Mythal. She didn't know where it had come from, but above, she heard a monstrous shrieking. She looked up. The great dragon Needhogg had still been devouring the infected Valkyries in the air. It had avoided becoming infected itself. But now, something had changed. Massive tendrils of mechanical black slime were spreading across its stomach up to its head. Its
Uh-oh.
eyes shifted into a distinct red hue.
All right, an enhanced dragon of death it is.
Taking it.
I shall enjoy handling that. No, that is simply the distraction for the others.
A claw suddenly snatched the back of Mythal's head and slammed her face first into the pavement. She was whipped around and pulled up onto a building,
What the hell?
face to face with the so-called Archonic goddess herself.
Tulsa.
It seems I'm not willing to be nearly as patient as I thought I'd be. I'm ending you here before you wreak more havoc on my multiverse.
Mythal half expected the figure to be some kind
Holy
of
crap.
illusion or minion in disguise, but it wasn't. Tarsa was really here, and
Holy
she did
crap.
not look happy. Before words came to Mythal, she heard Heath's voice in the distance on the street below.
We held off calling you as long as we could, but Tarsa just showed up. Sorry, but you've got to get here, Alexis. Now.
Come on, Alexis. It's time for you to do your reaper duties and slay this bitch!
Those who serve the Archonic goddess.
Locked me up just because I got that annoying Baldur kid a little bit killed. I love this character. Why is he dead?
Yeah, no, that honestly does suck a little bit. Drunk Loki is great, Loki. Can we retcon his death, please? Anyone? He's a Trixel god. Say he faked his death somehow. Marvel Loki kept doing it. Please? Come on, someone? No? Damn it.
No need to get all face punchy. Why am I killing this guy?
Damn
Plus,
it.
Brad gave me this nice cape.
There it is. How's he giving this nice cake?
Didn't expect that line to hit me like that. Okay. Come with this cape.
This guy's the worst decision I ever made. Can
Really
I rewrite
funny,
this
it
last
seems.
minute? No, I won't. Okay, come on. Come on.
Can't stop laughing, can you?
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you want some inspiration for your own art or writing journey, you might want to check out a video I put out earlier this week on why artists and creators don't need to be afraid of AI. But besides that, that's all for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of positive or inspiring note. And the thought I want to leave people with today is a quote I read this week that said, "If you fail, congratulations, because most people don't even muster up the courage to try.
Ooh.
Every single failure just makes you smarter and more resilient. So fail, be okay with the fact that you failed, and keep moving forward."
That's really
I hope
good.
that's inspiring. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video on Monday. Goodbye. Bye.
That's actually kind of why I live by the saying, well, live and learn. Because if you live, you survived, you may have failed, but you learned from it. Alright folks, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of you next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.